Hello everyone, Ogre27 Kane here today. We're doing a review of one of my favorite RPGs, Octopath Traveler, for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do a real quick overview of what this game is, what to expect. This is one of Square Enix's HD 2D RPGs. As a matter of fact, this is the first one, and a lot of people actually consider it the best one. Triangle Strategy is really good too, but this game kind of started the whole genre. This game basically consists of 8 different storylines that all intertwine to tell a really deep narrative. Each story is really well written and they all meet up at a really good point. It's basically a fantasy 2D RPG, but it's probably one of the best ones you will ever play. There's definitely a lot of praise I could heap on this game, but I don't want to go too far too quick. Let's start out with the story. My main character that I chose was Ulbrich. He's a knight, and he definitely has a lot of demons to deal with. Although one of the darker stories, it is definitely one of the more fulfilling stories for me. The apothecary Alphen is kind of fun to see how he interacts with people, but his story is a lot more shallow and a lot more of just a feel-good kind of story. Much the same as Tressa the merchant. Now the other characters, Cyrus, Primrose, Honnet, Therion, and Ophelia, all of these characters have some pretty deep stories that deal with things like betrayal, love, and loss, and other things that are considered more adult in theme. Even though this game looks kind of childish, a lot of these stories are pretty rich. As for example, to take Ophelia's story, that girl has kind of a messed up life and I feel for her, and her story ended up really making me appreciate her character a lot. Another really interesting character for me was Therion. He's a thief, but he's almost like a good, chivalrous thief? Yeah, I know, it's confusing, but somehow it works really well. Alright, well next up, let's talk about the general gameplay loop. How everything fits together, what's the purpose? This game sees you exploring a very large overworld connected by a bunch of different towns and dungeons. All of these dungeons and towns are unique in their own right and provide their own citizenry and own fauna and flora. Each character tends to have a certain theme to all the different towns and dungeons they visit, such as woodland or forest or desert, or my favorite, the snow levels with Ophelia. Initially, you'll walk into a town, get a tidbit of story, head to the bar, try to figure out a little bit more, and then pick up on which character you want. Some towns feature multiple stories for multiple characters. Some towns see you returning for different characters. Generally though, after acquiring said information, you'll head to a dungeon which is connected to the town. You'll usually go through and fight enemies fairly close to the level at which you are, and you'll come out next to a boss who you'll finish off and they'll give you that piece of information. Now this formula is pretty static through the entire game, but the formula works really well and it gives you a structure that you know you can follow to see each piece. The last little thing I want to share about the gameplay is that this is definitely a traditionally turn-based RPG. This has a similar system to Bravely Default, but it's its own and it's unique, and in my opinion, much better than Bravely Default's. I can use this system to my advantage and prepare far better in this than I can in that game. However, there is a caveat. This game requires a ton of grinding, so if you can't handle that, I would not recommend this. Let's talk about some graphics and animations next. Alright, well this is honestly probably the highlight of this game. As you can see, the animations in this game and the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Not just the art style, but the way everything flows together, the water, the sand, the snow, everything fits perfectly and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know how they came up with this idea, but I am happy it exists. Not only that, but if you enjoyed some of the things like summonses and magics from some great games like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, then you'll absolutely love and enjoy the summons and attacks in this game. The magics, everything looks gorgeous. Everything runs nice and smooth. There's not really any frame rate problems. There's no issues with dialogue. It's pretty astounding how well they did on this. As you can see as well, there's a lot of really bright colors and effects that go into everything, and none of these cause any issues. You would think some of them would, especially when you have multiple creatures and multiple things going on at one time, but nope. You can have 4, 5, 6 characters all get broke by multiple attacks at the same time, and the game does not shed it. And in all honesty, that is one of the key factors in this game having total immersion. Well, let's hit my favorite category now, the combat. Being basically just a turn-based RPG, you don't think the combat's going to be that exciting. But something about this system keeps you engaged. Some of the boss fights are really long. We're talking bosses with 100,000 hit points. But for some reason, it keeps you fully engaged and interacting. None of it seems terribly imbalanced, but the game does want you to learn about things like status effects and other abilities. What's cool about this system, unlike Bravely Default, is that you don't have to give up your attack in order to build up this boost system. A basic attack will still give you a boost, and that allows you to still enjoy the combat, keep a fast pace with it, and utilize some of your major attacks for when you really need them. It allows you to strategize better and keep the flow of combat moving faster. I guess if there has to be one major negative thing about this game, it's that some of the jobs and some of the characters are not nearly as powerful or useful as some of the other characters. Primrose and Cyrus and Ulrich and Ophelia are way OP compared to somebody like Alphen. I know there are ways to use them, but I'm just not good with him. So let's talk about a little bit of controls and audio now. So I don't really want to hit on the controls all too much. They are pretty standard. You have A button for select, move around with your joystick. L and R allow you to use your boosts. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty standard fare for an RPG. You can't really mess it up too much. Mostly you'll be using these buttons to navigate menus, so pretty simple. But let's talk about audio. Audio is amazing in this game. Holy cow, they did not pull any of the stops. I am not exactly sure what went on, but they are musical geniuses in this game. The music in this game is an absolute 10 out of 10. Alright, time to talk about the conclusion now. My suggestion, buy this game as soon as you can. It will continue to go up in price, especially with the second one out. This is definitely a great RPG and one to have in your collection. If you enjoy any of Square Enix's past games, then this will bring all the nostalgia feelers back for you. Trust me, this game is an absolute buy. There's not much more I can say for this game. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for watching today's video. I upload every single Monday. This video is a blast to make. Please like and subscribe, and have yourself a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane, signing out.